Tomatoes, carrots, cucumbers, peppers, sweet potatoes, potatoes. That's a pretty nice garden. But what about the herbs? Sure, I have a few herbs in my garden, but I have never really learned how to dedicate space to herbs and learn how to plant them, grow them, and use them and store them. That's one of the reasons I'm very excited to have Amanda from Freedom Acres on the Monday Meetups today. She brings to us her passion and knowledge about how she uses her herbs on her little farm.
Hey Blake, thank you so much for having me on your show this morning. I'm excited to meet up with you and your viewers on this beautiful Monday to talk about my love of herbs. I think most people don't realize how important herbs are on a homestead. I find them to be very versatile. We don't just use them to flavor dishes, but we also use them medicinally. As such, I also really like to make sure that I preserve enough for winter use and to carry us into the next season. If you're starting an herb garden this year, it's very important also to notice the ways that you would propagate said herbs. So once you decide on what your family likes and what your tastes are, you need to decide what the best method for propagation for those herbs is going to be. So my basil that's grown out in this bathtub grows best from cuttings. So I can just clip those and spread them all over all season. At the end of the season, I let them bolt, and then I can harvest the seeds for the next year. I do the same thing with my coriander here, but there are some herbs that require a 2-year process to save the seeds. So thyme and parsley are both some of those. They require 2 years. So because of that, I like to alternate where I plant them. I have some growing near my home that I planted last year. I'm going to save the seeds this year from those. In a moment, I'm going to bring you behind here so you can see the parsley that I've planted for this year. But then next year, I'll be able to harvest seeds from here, and I will replant up near the house. So by alternating those, I'll always make sure that I have a seed source every year. So it's important to kind of understand your herbs, make sure you research what herbs you're growing and how you can harvest seeds, because you want to make sure that your herb garden is also sustainable. Fresh herbs are always the best, but it's important to realize that most herbs don't grow year-round. So I also do preserve my herbs. I use 2 different methods, freezing and drying. So I don't like to use my electricity to dehydrate if I don't have to. Unless I need the vertical space, I usually don't pull out my dehydrator. So for my herbs that are just leaves, like the basil and the parsley, I'll just take the leaves and spread them out on a paper towel. I'll dry them out that way, and then I'll either crush them with a mortar and pestle, or I'll just store them whole in a baggie. Alternately, anything with a stalk, I tend to bundle up, and then I'll dry those upside down. My sage and my thyme are both herbs that I like to bundle up. I'll wrap some baker's twine around them, and I'll hang them upside down in my pantry. You can leave them like that all winter long, or you can take the leaves off all at once. I tend to just leave them until I need them, and then I'll strip the leaves off at that point. The other method I mentioned is freezing. I like to use an ice cube tray. I used to just put all of my herbs in a baggie, and then I'd kind of have to chisel them off to use them, and sometimes they'd get freezer burned, and it just wasn't a very good method. So now I use an ice cube tray. I'll stuff my herbs down in each compartment, and I'll cover them with olive oil or coconut oil that's melted down. That seems to work really well. It preserves the freshness, so when I use them, it's almost like using just my fresh herbs. And then I also like it because it gives me a source of oil already in a pan to saute with onions or garlic or whatever I'm using in whatever dish I'm making. So that tends to work out really well. I can pop those out of the ice cube tray and then put them in baggies so that I can keep using my ice cube trays. And that seems to work out really well for us. In the back, kind of in an L shape, is all of my cilantro. It's already bolted, and I'll have coriander soon. The thyme is from last year. I'll be able to harvest these seeds soon. My lemon balm is brand new. This is my first year to grow it. My sage is all kind of mixed together. Last year's is what's flowering. This year's is not yet. My parsley here has all been planted this year, so I'll be able to save the seeds next year from this. But I'm harvesting this every couple days. I get a few leaves and I just dry those as I get them. My green onion has mostly flowered. A lot of it's done, but I did freeze a lot of this before it bolted. So these seeds I'll be able to save once they dry out. You can see, let's see if I can pinch off one. Oops. Okay, so these little black parts are the seeds, and I'll save these this year. Here I have my basil in a bathtub. I really enjoy having my basil out here. Not only does this attract pollinators once it bolts, but I also really enjoy all season long making pesto and pizza sauces and things like that for my family. Toward the front of the property, I've also added some oregano and some rosemary this year, so I think overall we have a good spread going. I intend to add more and more variety of herbs as time goes on. I really enjoy having them. I've recently added some spearmint and been making jelly and teas out of that. It's just wonderful. So find what grows best in your area. I'd encourage you to get as many herbs and as much variety as you can and just really enjoy them. They're great. So I really hope that this helps you guys. I hope it inspires you to start an herb garden if you haven't already. I think that probably on a homestead, herbs are one of the most overlooked assets. This is something, like I said, you can use to flavor dishes and medicinally. I like to use these in tinctures and teas for different things all winter long, and it's just a very important staple on my homestead to have lots of variety of herbs. So get out there and grow some herbs. I'd love to hear what you guys are growing already. If you'd like to learn more about basil propagation or how to harvest your coriander seeds, you can check out my channel as well. Thank you so much, Blake, for having me on today. It's been a real joy.
Thank you, Amanda, so much for sharing your time with us here on the Monday Meetups. And thank you for sharing your knowledge and your passion for herbs. I did notice one thing. Your farm is a lot quieter than mine. I do look forward to growing more herbs here in the Daddykirbs garden, and I will look to your channel for advice when I get to doing that. If you have not yet subscribed to Amanda here on YouTube, head over to Freedom Acres channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, give her lots of thumbs ups and comments on her videos, letting her know that Daddykirbs sent you. Every Monday we do the Monday Meetups where I bring other creators onto the farm so that you can learn more about what's going on in other people's farms and gardens. Throughout the week you get to learn about the Daddykirbs farm story and journey, where we show videos about all the different projects and things that we have going on here. On Saturdays we do our live show. I can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Monday Meetups. I'll talk to you soon. What herb goes with blackberries? They're really good.